What's good, YouTube? Today we're going to be making a pair of gold spike Burberry Air Force Ones, and I'll show you all the tools you need to get this project started. First of all, you're going to need your Air Forces. Then you're going to need your spikes. I have a whole bundle in my website. It comes with the lace tags, which is this over here, 100 spikes, and 4 lace tips. These goes into the shoelace. Next, you're going to be needing some masking tape, fabric cutting scissors. These ones are more heavy duty. Next, you're going to be needing Gorilla Glue. Make sure you get the one with the green tip. Other tools you're going to be needing is the Husky screwdrivers. You're going to be needing yellow paint. We're going to be doing this on the soles. You're also going to be needing fabric, the microblade, and finally you're going to be needing a heat gun and strong adhesive. Alright, the first step is we're going to use a mini screwdriver to puncture holes into the toe box region of the Air Forces. An optional step is to use a lighter to heat up the screwdriver. This makes it easier to pierce through the leather of the shoe. So this is what a side-by-side comparison looks like after the right shoe has been pierced with some holes. The next step is to insert the screws. Alright, so hold the screw like this between 2 fingers and use a small screwdriver like this one over here to locate it from the inside. And with the finger inside of the shoe, locate where it is. Once you see the gold screw visually from the top view, you can adjust from the middle finger inside and push through like that. As you can see, once the screws are inserted in place, you can screw the spikes right on. But that's not durable enough, so we're going to be using Gorilla Glue to keep them in place. Since we're adding fabric and painting the soles, we're going to be leaving the screws to the end. So for now, let's move over to the fabric. So in order to get the fabric onto the swooshes, you're going to be using Scotch tape, and we're going to be applying it on the inner and outer swooshes. And we're going to be using the microblade to get an exact reference. I like using the smaller width Scotch tape because you get less wrinkles, and I only need to apply 2 layers and trim it with the microblade. If you want to add a gold outline to the outsides of the swoosh, you can get a pen. I like to use the pigment liner micro pen. I got these from Amazon. And you just outline the stitching area. That way when you're cutting, you're just going to be cutting this part. And the area that's outside of this region, we're going to be painting it metallic gold, Angelus paint. And it's going to give a nice outline that's going to resonate with the spikes that we have over here. Next, we can put the swooshes straight onto the fabric. Make sure they're organized in a professional manner, spaced out evenly, and labeled to their according swoosh. For example, the left outer swoosh and the left inner swoosh, and the right inner swoosh and right outer swoosh. During this process, it's important that you use fabric cutting scissors to attain a nice clean cut, and make sure you're following the guidelines set on the pen, just so that you get an exact reference of the swoosh. If you're planning on getting a gold outline on the swoosh like we're doing today, you're going to need some cotton round, acetone, metallic gold paint, and a paintbrush. You can grab the acetone and pour some right on the cotton round, and we can begin removing the factory finish on the swooshes. This is going to allow the paint to adhere far better on the shoe. Now we can begin applying the metallic gold paint to the swoosh. Be generous with the paint. You can go over the stitch line because it's going to be covered with fabric anyway. So once again, don't forget to get the edges and the trim of the swoosh. This is going to allow you to get a nice finish in the end. Now that we're done painting the swoosh metallic gold, we can now move on to applying the leather glue. Make sure to apply an even layer of glue throughout the swoosh and try to avoid clumps as much as possible because this is going to require more time to dry. Once that's done, apply the same amount of glue on this other side of the swoosh that's going to be going on the shoe. After gluing both areas, you're going to let the glue dry for about 5 minutes. Once they're done drying, you can heat set it with a heat gun. Make sure you heat set both sides, and then you can apply the fabric on the shoe. Alright, now we're going to be adding the spikes onto the shoe. Get yourself a pair of gloves and your Gorilla Glue. Let's get right into it. This Gorilla Glue is great because it doesn't start running. It stays in place and it takes only 10 to 15 seconds to dry. For each screw, just put a light dab of Gorilla Glue and then put the spike in and start rotating it in place. While we're continuing the process of adding the spikes onto the shoe, another tip that I found is to attach scotch tape onto your finger, because this will increase the friction and allow you to spin the spike more easily. Once the spikes have been set in place, we can move on to prepping the soles of the shoe by adding high quality vinyl tape and 3M scotch tape. Once that's done, we can start painting the soles yellow. For this step, you're going to be needing yellow Angelus paint, 2 thin, and an eyedropper. Let's mix it into a small cup so we can start airbrushing. Ideally, we want to have the paint in a 1:4 ratio, so 1 part 2 thin, 4 parts paint. After you've cleaned out the airbrush, you can start putting the paint in and start airbrushing. I like to go with 2 layers on the soles. This is to ensure that there's a nice even layer of paint. You could also use a paintbrush if you don't have an airbrush, but you'd need to do at least 3 to 4 layers and you'd see brush strokes, so it's totally up to you. In the next step, we're going to pull out the heat gun and dry down the paint. Now we put some matte 4-coat finisher into the airbrush, and we're just going to apply some finisher onto the sole of the shoe. Once the finisher has dried down, we can remove the tape and look at the final product. To protect the paint on the sole, we're also going to be adding a sole shield. I'm using the 3M clear paint protection film. What you want to do is put the shoe right onto the film and using a pen or a marker, outline the edges of the shoe and cut out accordingly. I like to start at the heel first and use a business card to put it in place. Then we can use a heat gun to conform the film onto the shoe. Now you can grab your laces and your gold lace tag and lace up the shoe. For the finishing touch, we're going to be adding some gold lace tips. So to do that, we're going to put a small dab of Gorilla Glue at the tip of the shoelace and insert the gold lace tip and hold for 10 seconds. Another nice touch is to add metallic gold on the heel tab. And that concludes the tutorial. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay up to date with us on Instagram for our next giveaway at 500 subscribers. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.